Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I've got for you this Saturday afternoon is some of the most arrogant, condescending effect I've ever seen coming from the likes of Jimmy Kimmel around gun violence victims, how they're okay if they turn out to be gun controllers, but they're not okay if they turn out to be gun rights advocates and actually stick to their guns, so to speak. Everything is going to be linked in the description box below, and I know you guys are going to have an opinion on this one, so let me hear that in the comments field. Of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We are distributing freedom twice daily, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. All right, guys, so it is October, so it must be time for me to do an announcement around the subscription notification bell situation for the subscribers. What I've got you on the screen right now is the ominous, odd, very rare decline that I'm losing subscribers all of a sudden. I'm sure it's an anomaly, but just in case, make sure that subscription is still active so you guys can get this goodness on the daily, and thank you so much for checking that out. All right, my brothers and sisters, so you guys know how I love me some skinny tie, arrogant condescension from Jimmy Kimmel. Well, he's got some things to say because the nomination of Steve Scalise as the speaker really brought some thoughts to the surface that Jimmy's just got to bring up. Because if you'll recall, Steve Scalise was shot by a gunman, a Bernie Sanders supporter, but he conveniently leaves that out. So check this out. Listen to this little snippet from his monologue this week.
An interesting person, this Steve Scalise. He was one of the biggest gun supporters in Congress, but then in 2017, remember, he was shot and seriously wounded at a congressional baseball game by a man carrying a legally purchased assault rifle. And when he recovered, he came back to Congress. He knew that nothing like what happened to him should ever happen again. So as his first act, he introduced House Resolution 2481 that required all baseball players to carry AK-47s in their protective cups. And
your skinny tie is so skinny. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel. I love me some Jimmy Kimmel. Hey, you guys remember when comedy shows were actually about comedy, not just about political satire for the left? Anyway, great time. So one of the things that I really want to highlight with this, because beyond obviously the arrogance and condescension, which I really despise, it seems to be a victim-shaming scenario from the left around gun control, particularly when you don't come out and do what they want after an incident. Like I said, you've got a Bernie Sanders supporter who perpetrated this crime. Even Jimmy Kimmel said it was a legally purchased assault rifle, which doesn't exist. It was just a rifle. But no mention of anything that would be indicative of a problem of the people at all or the supporter. No. Because that we can't talk about. It's verboten because they were a leftist. They were an independent socialist voter. Yeah, we can't talk about that. But in contrast, Gabby Giffords, look at that. Look, now that is an example, a paragon of someone who did the right thing. Yeah. The idea that I'm trying to land here is that if you come from a perspective on the left and you look at two exact similar instances, both congressional members, both shot, and both almost killed by an assailant who was off the rails in both scenarios, interesting how the outcome is different and the way they're treated is different, isn't it? Because Gabby Giffords is a hero. She is amazing. She's everything. She's the example of courage. Steve Scalise, absolute moron. Get AK-47s for their baseball pants. Anyone seeing the contrast here? Let me continue. I got a few more things here. There's a few of the little tiny things I want to show you that I think are important that Jimmy just happened to leave out with his skinny tie monologue. 6 people were shot during the tragedy, including Scalise, Capitol Police Officer Crystal Griner, Congressional aide Zach Barth, lobbyist Matt Mika. In the clip flagged by conservative media watchdog Newsbusters, Kimmel did not mention Scalise's assailant was a far-left supporter of Senator Bernie Sanders. Isn't that weird how they just leave those things out? I'm sure it's by accident, because no one would leave information out to purposely deliver a narrative, right? They would. But let's continue. I've got some more stuff for you because I think this is a very important piece as we dive in and contrast this. Scalise was the first member of Congress to have been shot since former Representative Gabby Giffords, founder of Giffords.org, was shot along with 17 others during a 2011 mass shooting in Tucson, Arizona. She survived but was seriously wounded and had to resign her seat. Following the 2017 baseball practice mass shooting, Scalise said he doubted Democrats' proposed red flag laws or stricter background checks would have prevented the attacks. And that's the interesting part here. And this is kind of how we dodged a bullet, in my opinion, with Scalise being pulled from the speakership last week. or this past week. He's not going as far as to say any type of assault weapon bans or anything of that nature, but he is flirting with the idea of red flag laws. Now, again, the point of this video is to highlight the difference in reaction from Gabby Giffords to Steve Scalise, one Republican, one Democrat, and one gun control advocate, and one mostly constitutional rights advocate. Red flag laws are something we can't flirt with. In fact, Steve Scalise, who was on the short list with Jim Jordan to be the Speaker of the House, said this around red flag laws, because this is an important piece. So, quote, this talking about his shooter, he just went off the grid. What are you going to do about that? What law are you going to pass that's going to address that? In the end, all you end up doing is seeing more and more attempts to take away rights from law-abiding citizens, Scalise told Fox News at the time. That is correct. However, this next part is the concern. Scalise said some red flag proposals have merit, but they must include strong due process. Red flag laws, by definition, do not include due process. It is impossible. You cannot have them both exactly the same. The entire problem with red flag laws is they do inflict upon your due process rights. They do inflict upon your Second Amendment rights. Everything about a red flag law is an infringement upon your rights, both either second or other due process rights. You cannot have these both. And this little flirting and this dancing with the devil from red flag laws because they have merit as long as we still do due protections, even though they don't have due process protections, that's what we just dodged, potentially, in the speakership vote or fight that we're seeing right now. And that's what I've got for you guys. What do you think about the skinny time monologue? Do you guys see the same pattern I'm seeing? And if not, what could I have done better? I hope I landed this plane. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.